Do you feel stuck? Constantly procrastinating, overthinking, overanalyzing, dreaming, worrying? You are not alone. Most people live this way, but you don't need to. While it may be hard to believe, getting unstuck is easier than you think, and it can happen much faster than you expect, especially if you follow one or more of these 5 strategies. The first is to experiment and finish. You might be stuck in life and in work because you're ambitious, you're a perfectionist, you place a lot of pressure on yourself to do the best work possible. And as a result of this, the goals, the ideas, the potential projects that come across your plate are quickly written off because they aren't big enough to you. They don't feel like they're worth working on. Or maybe you're stuck because everything just seems too difficult for you. The ideas and goals that you do have feel insurmountable, and you feel paralyzed, unable to take even the first actionable step towards them. Whatever the case, this strategy to experiment and finish can help you get unstuck and move forward. So you want to view yourself almost as a scientist, as someone who experiments, and you want to reframe how you view your goals, your ideas, your projects. Instead of looking at a goal that you have or a project that you're working on and thinking, this must be a success. You take the mindset of someone who experiments. You act in a more relaxed and detached way where you say to yourself something like, well, let's put this out there and see what happens. Let me ship this, let me publish this, let me do this thing and just see what happens as a result. For example, let's say you want to start a podcast, but you keep overthinking it. You're not sure if it's really what you want to do or whether you'd enjoy it or not. Well, just treat it as an experiment. Publish 3 episodes, see if you enjoy doing that, see if there's any results, see if other people like it, and then you can decide whether you want to continue with it or not. But you don't know until you've taken some sort of action and gone from 0 to 1. So this is exactly how I got unstuck. 6 months ago, I was in the process of selling a business, and outside of doing that, I had a lot of spare time on my hands. I found myself stuck in this cycle of analysis paralysis. I would have spikes of motivation and energy, and I would start working on a project, and then I'd abandon it a few days later because I would overthink the process, or I lost the motivation, or I lost what I thought was the energy. I spent most of my time doing what I thought was planning and thinking, but really it was just productive procrastination. I wasn't doing any actual work. And it got to a point where I was just sick of it. I was sick of not doing anything, not making anything, not producing anything. And so I decided to experiment. I had this idea for a product called the Digital Business Tactics Library, and for the next month or 2 I just worked on it relentlessly. The whole time I viewed it only as an experiment. Whether it made money or not, whether it succeeded or failed, it didn't matter to me. The point was that I was working on something, that I was taking action on something, and if it failed to generate money, that's fine. I would learn something anyway. I would get some data and some insights that would be valuable. The product itself, when it launched, it did okay. It wasn't a wild success, but what it did do, most importantly, was get me out of the mental rut that I was in, the analysis paralysis, that cycle of overthinking and procrastination. And this built some momentum, and it led to another experiment which just happened actually, called Work Sprint. End of last year, 2022, I had this idea of launching a sprint to help people defeat procrastination and make massive progress towards a given goal or project. Like I said, it was a simple idea that came to me, and I rapidly launched it in January. And as I'm filming this, we are halfway through the first cohort, and it's just been incredible to see it come to life and actually help people. It's important to emphasize here that you want to experiment in a detached manner, in a detached way. You're putting things out into the world, you're trying things, they might work, they might not. Either way, you benefit because you're learning from the process and you're building momentum by taking action and doing the work. But, and this is crucial, you do not want to be the experimenter who never finishes anything, who never ships anything. You do not want to be the person who jumps from experiment to experiment, from project to project, without ever seeing them through. You must finish your experiment. It doesn't need to be perfect, and it shouldn't be, but it should be done, shipped, published, launched. The next strategy is to work for the sake of work. I've said this before in another video of mine, but you do not need a clear goal or purpose to get work done. In fact, there's value in just doing the work anyway, regardless of whether you think it's the optimal thing to do or the right thing to do or the thing you feel like doing. In other words, if you are stuck, try doing work for the sake of work. The goal is the work. Yes, it might seem pointless. Yes, it will be boring sometimes, maybe most of the time, but it will get you unstuck. There's also something about just doing the work anyway that leads to a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction and that nice feeling that you get at the end of the day when you know that you've put the work in, even though you didn't really want to. And doing it anyway, just doing the work for the sake of work, it builds momentum. You feel rewarded by doing the work, and so you want to repeat that cycle. You procrastinate less, you worry less, and you stop overthinking and analyzing as much. The third strategy is to fix your body so that you can fix your mind. The connection between the mind and the body is so clear. We know this, but we often ignore it. Are you procrastinating because you just don't want to do the work? Maybe. It could also be that you haven't slept well in weeks and you're just tired. Are you feeling hopeless and you have no sense of momentum and you just feel like you're stuck in this mental rut? Well, it could just be that, but it could also be that you're not eating well, that you haven't seen sunlight in like a month, you're consuming a lot of alcohol, you're not exercising. You get the idea. Now, I'm not a doctor and this is not health advice, so please keep that in mind. But there are a few key things that have given me almost relentless energy. The first is regular exercise. I exercise almost every day, but I lift weights, I run, I do jujitsu, and all these things combined give me a ton of energy that enables me to do the creative and mental work that I need to be doing. I get outside every day, and ideally it's sunny. I get sunlight on my face, on my body, and that energizes me. I've optimized my sleep, so I wear an eye mask, so it's completely dark. I usually use mouth tape as well to encourage nasal breathing. I avoid caffeine after noon. And finally, when it comes to nutrition, I eat mostly whole foods, high protein, and then adjust carbs and fats, depending on what I'm doing in terms of training and exercise. The fourth strategy, and this one's quite simple, is to consume more. Yes, consume more, but not in the way that you think. See, there's a difference between frying your brain with the TikTok or Instagram slot machine, watching video after video, and reading an inspiring biography about someone that you admire that actually teaches you something. There's a difference between sitting on the couch for 3 hours watching Netflix and taking notes on an educational video from your favorite YouTuber. That difference is the effort required to consume the content. And a good rule of thumb is that when consumption is extremely easy and almost addicting, then the content that you're consuming is probably not that useful. When it's challenging and it requires you to focus, then it likely is useful. And that's where the insights come from. They come from going deep, from focusing, from spending time with a book, a long YouTube video, a series of podcast episodes. Feed your mind with deep insights and inspiration, not from content designed to hijack your dopamine reward system, but from content designed to educate, inspire, to be analyzed, to be chewed upon. The fifth and final strategy is to escape, and ideally do it off-grid. Most of the time when you're stuck in a rut, the answer is to speed up, to do more, to experiment, to push, to work anyway. But sometimes you need to stop, slow down, relax, recharge, disconnect, think, journal. And the best way I've found to do this is to get away, to leave your house, to book a cabin or Airbnb somewhere, ideally remote if you're into nature. Go for a weekend, go for longer if you can. Do not take your laptop, delete social media off your phone, and then let your mind wander and start listening to what you've been missing. Anyway, I hope these strategies will help you as they've helped me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Now go, push forward and get unstuck.